Hey, welcome back to By Myself But Not Alone. This is episode 25, Nashville, Tennessee. At the end of the last episode, I slept right up until checkout time at my hotel in Alabama, knowing that it was going to be a really short trip to get to Nashville. It was less than 200 miles, and I'd be able to make it there in under 3 hours if I didn't get sidetracked, and that's always a possibility. It didn't really happen. At one of the rest areas I stopped at, I did run into some friends. I pulled in to have a smoke. I found a pavilion. It was raining. I didn't want to get wet, so I lit one up, and I turned around, and there was my friend Chris Johnson from Canada and his Road Dog T-Rod from Syracuse, New York. Now, I love it when this happens. You just never know who you're going to run into or where you're going to run into them. We hung out for about 15 minutes. We talked about the show in Birmingham and our anticipations for the show in Nashville. Pretty soon they said, see you in Nashville, hopped in their car, and they were gone. I stayed there a little while longer. I was watching the rain. I was enjoying the peace and quiet, knowing that Michelle would be back in a couple days and the quiet would be gone. I finally got back on the road. The rain let up. It was just a nice, smooth drive. It didn't seem like any time at all before I was pulling off the highway. I pulled up hotels.com to see what we had, and it turned out that there was one just a couple blocks from where I was sitting. That was the easiest hotel find for me on the entire black ticket. It was a pretty nice place with the biggest bed I've ever seen in a hotel room. It was wider than it was long, and as soon as I saw it, all I could picture was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, all of them just lined up in that bed. It was huge. I got all my stuff unpacked, and I made the mistake of laying back on that huge bed, and I just did not want to get up. At this point on the tour, I think it was a combination of my age and the road miles I'd been putting on, but I was just worn out. I actually laid there a few minutes thinking about skipping the pre-party, but I knew that wasn't an option. I have been anticipating the trip to Nashville for two main reasons. The first obvious reason, it's Music City, it's Nashville. But even more so, I'd been anticipating the pre-party the night before. Our friends Clint and Ethan from Metal Up Your Podcast, they were having their second anniversary party at a place called the Cobra. I had told Clint in Birmingham that there was no way I was going to miss that party, and I meant it. And I knew there were going to be a lot of people there. It was going to be quite an event. Quite honestly, I'd been anticipating this pre-party since the very first show. So I finally made myself get up. I ran down to the gas station and got some coffee, got all juiced up, came back, got ready, and I headed down. And when I got there, the party turned out to be everything I had expected and maybe even a little more. It was just a great pre-party, one of the best on the entire tour. It was a really nice place. There were quite a few people hanging out in the smoking area, which was a patio right off the front door. Right when I walked in, there were two good-sized rooms that appeared to be packed with people up by the front door. Right when you walked in, Clint and Ethan were set up on a little raised area. It was like an in-house musician stage. And then running down the left wall was a good-sized bar. In the next room over, there was a pool table. There were quite a few tables and chairs. There was just a lot of space to hang out, sit down if you wanted to. The wall was cut out between the two rooms so you could go back there and you really didn't feel like you were missing anything. There was a cool little built-in food joint with a one-man show inside. He had a little window. You just walk up, place your order, and he fed you. I definitely planned on hitting him up before I left, but first I had to walk around and do some visiting. Clint and Ethan were doing what they do best, good crowd interaction. They were doing trivia. They were giving a lot of stuff away. They were DJing the music. The place was happening. People were in and out all night long. Like I said, the smoking area was out front. That seemed to keep the crowd moving and circulating. There was no shortage of alcohol consumed that night. It was quite an eventful night, and everybody in the place just seemed to be having a really good time. Most people in attendance seemed to be slightly lit up, if not well beyond that. My original plan that night was to have one or two drinks right when I got there. Had to drive back to the hotel, didn't need a DUI or worse. Those plans never seemed to work out. Fortunately for me, I got there early enough to where I could have more than one or two and still be good by the end of the night, and that's kind of what happened. I ran into the right people, or the wrong people, however you want to view it. After I had a couple drinks, I ended up in that back room, and I remember standing there looking through that window, just looking around at all the people, and I was running down, making a list in my head. And there appeared to be representation from almost every state in the United States. And then there were people from 10 or 12 countries. And at that point, that's when I lost it. You'll never stand in a group of a couple hundred people like that without getting distracted. Don't know what did it, but I lost track. All I'm really trying to say is that the crowd was extremely diverse. And then, of course, Clint and Ethan, they had quite a few of their local friends there. And it was a great crowd, and again, a great time. At some point, my friend Ryan showed up. He's the guy I stayed with in Pennsylvania for the State College show. When I saw him, we had to head out to the car to stash a bottle of Blackened Batch 81 that a friend had brought for him. I believe it was Chris Yergis, but I'm not certain. I think that's who brought it for him. But they were making the hook up there in Nashville. He had asked me if I would mind hauling it to Cleveland. Something to do with how he got there. I think he flew to Nashville, and he didn't want to take the bottle on the plane, but he knew he'd be driving to Cleveland. So he asked me if I would take his bottle and run it to Cleveland for him. No problem, man. Are you sure you're doing the right thing here? You know I love this stuff. It added a cool little aspect to my black ticket journey. The thought of running through Tennessee with whiskey in my trunk seemed rather adventurous, even if it was legal. So we went out, stashed the bottle, hung out on the porch for a minute with all the smokers, and when we got back in there, the place was going nuts. Clint and Ethan really had the crowd's attention. I grabbed another drink. I decided I wanted to hang out in the back room, and that's what I did. I headed back by the pool table. There were a whole lot of people back there that I knew, and I got in a lot of good visiting time. A little while later, Ryan resurfaced, and he asked me if I had eaten. I thought he was going to want to run out and find a barbecue joint or something, and I said, no, I'm planning on eating at the Burger Shack over there. He found great amusement in my terminology. He laughed and said, that's no Burger Shack, but I'm here to tell you, you need to go over there and get one of his burritos. The thing is huge and it's good, and you better hurry up because he's closing shop. So I said, oh, that's not going to happen. So I headed on over and I asked the dude if he could hook me up before he put everything away. It turned out that he had already pretty much had everything put away, but he said, yeah, man, what do you want? I think I ordered a breakfast burrito, but I never really got to find out. I didn't get to find out what it was or how good it was, because later on that night, something went wrong. Or right, it would all depend on who you ask. But anyway, all I knew is that thing was big. So I got my burrito and decided to head back out to the smoking porch, and on my way there, Clint stopped me and he said, hey man, we still got to talk. I haven't forgotten about you. It kind of looked like they were starting to wrap up the festivities. I told them I was going to go out and have a smoke. They seemed to be as lit up as anybody in the place. And I can imagine that when you host a party like that, people are probably buying you drinks all night. So they probably had more than their fair share, but I got to give them both credit. They were holding it together a little better than I think I would have been able to. I was extremely impressed at how well they were both behaving. So I told Clint I was going to go out and have a smoke, and then I'd come back in. So that's what I did. I headed outside to hang out with the smokers for a bit. I got to talk to quite a few cool people out there. One of them, I finally got to talk to Tony Squindo, the t-shirt artist. For those of you who don't know, but I would imagine anybody watching this knows who Squindo is. It wasn't a long conversation, but I actually got to shake his hand and meet him. Got to introduce myself. We've been running into each other throughout the tour, and I finally got to speak to him. So that was a really cool memory from that party as well. When I got back in, they had everything put up. That didn't seem to take too long unless I was outside smoking longer than I should have been. Anyway, Clint and Ethan were standing there. I mainly wanted to get a couple pictures with them for this episode. So we took a couple pictures, and as we were doing that, other people saw what we were doing, so they realized, I guess, that they wanted to get their picture taken too. Clint looked at me and almost apologetically said, hey man, can you hang on a minute? And I said, no, man, I'm not leaving. We've got plenty of time. No worries. Do your thing. I'm going to go down here and talk to a couple people. I was getting tired of holding my burrito, so I just set it in the windowsill. I believe it was a windowsill ledge right behind where Clint was standing. I set it there. I figured it would be safe, and I headed on down and started yapping to somebody. I don't remember who that was. Clint was up on the stage running his mouth. I was down here running my mouth. Pretty soon, the people I was talking to were headed for the door. I looked up, and the people Clint was talking to, they were taking off. We all had a big day the next day, and it was probably midnight or so. But what happened next was one of the coolest things I saw on the entire 2018-2019 North American Arena leg of Metallica's WorldWired Tour. So like I said, Clint said goodnight to the people he was talking to, and as they headed out, he turned and he looked down, and he found himself staring right at my burrito. He never looked up again. I kind of realized what was going to happen, so I grabbed a bar stool. I just sat back and I watched. He continued to stare at the burrito as if it had his eyes locked. He was enamored. He finally just shrugged his shoulders, reached down, picked it up, unwrapped it, and he went to town. It was really fun to watch. He remained focused. The whole time he was chewing, he was just staring down at the next bite. I found that I was silently cheering for him. Come on, Clint, kill it. You can do this. He was eating that thing like a professional. He gained massive style points for his technique in the Cobra that night, and before you know it, that burrito was a memory. He devoured it in legendary fashion. He just stood there staring at the wall, and he had this big smile on his face. He kind of reminded me of the Joker. And then, as if he felt the heat from my eyes watching him, he turned and he looked at me and he said, "Did I just eat your burrito?" Now, I knew from the get-go that he hadn't done anything malicious. It just kind of caught his eye, and the way I know that he wasn't stealing a burrito is he didn't look left and right to see if it belonged to someone else. It just kind of grabbed him, and he did what he had to do. He did what I probably would have done in his shoes. So when he asked me that, I said, "No, man, you didn't eat my burrito. You just ate your burrito. That sucker was in your destiny, and you took care of business. I'm proud of the way you handled that one." And when he heard that, he just put his head down and said, "Oh, man, I ate your burrito." I couldn't help but laugh. I was laughing pretty hard. He looked like he felt bad. So I walked over to change the subject and I asked him what he wanted to talk to me about. He said, well, it's pretty simple. I've talked to a lot of black ticket holders. I've met a lot of cool people, and everybody seems to be having a great time with this thing. But when I talked to you in Birmingham the other night, you seem to be approaching it just a little bit differently. And you said a few things that I haven't heard anybody else say. I said, no, man, I got my YouTube channel, of course, but this is a pretty hardcore crew. These people are legit. We're all on the same page. He said, no, don't take it wrong. I'm not saying anything at all bad about anyone. I can see this is a hardcore crew. These people are crazy. But you just seem to be driven in it a little different way. I can see something in your eyes, like you're on a mission. And I'd really like to pick your brain about the whole black ticket thing. So I kind of laughed and I said, well, you can watch my YouTube series, but if you want, I can throw a bit at you right now. But I'm telling you, the best I can do is maybe a 20-25 minute minimum. Or I can give you the long story, but we've all got a big day tomorrow. He said, well, let's have it. I'll take the short version now, but we'll talk more later. So I had to do it. I went into rant mode. He stood there for 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes, and he just listened intently. And I was not talking slow. I touched the highlights of a 32-year time window, and I let him have it for 20, 25 minutes. I finally hit a point where I said, I think you can see the picture I'm painting and what led us to standing in this moment right here. He asked me if I'd like to be on Metal Up Your podcast sometime, and I said, well, let's get the tour finished first. But yeah, absolutely, that'd be fun. He asked me how close I was to where they were. It's like 283 miles from my house, so I could be there in about 4 hours. I said, why don't we just trade phone numbers, and after this is all over, we'll contact each other and we'll line something up. We did text back and forth a couple times, but as busy as they are and as busy as I am, we just haven't been able to make anything happen yet. But Clint, I'm going to be getting a hold of you real soon, and maybe we can sit down over burritos and talk about it. So we headed outside. We hung out for just a little while longer. We said goodnight, and I headed back to the hotel. And I will say it again, wow, what a party. Clint and Ethan, Cobra crew. I know Chris Yergis gave you a lot of help. You guys put on one hell of a party. Thanks for that, and I wish you continued success with Metal Up Your podcast. You guys are doing great things. So the next morning I woke up, grabbed some coffee in the hotel lobby. I went outside to have a smoke, and I met a pretty cool young guy out there. He was smoking too. He saw my shirt, and he started asking me about Metallica. Unfortunately, he wasn't going to the show, but he was a massive fan. So I asked him if he would mind being interviewed for my YouTube project. He said, absolutely. So we did that. I had a good time talking to that guy. I headed on in, got ready, and I headed down to the Bridgestone Arena, which is home to the NHL's Nashville Predators. The minute I laid my eyes on that place, I said, wow, another state-of-the-art massive arena. When I got in the parking lot, I pulled out my phone, as I had been doing it most of the show since Sacramento. As soon as I get in the parking lot, I'd look up the arena for the history. And it turns out that thing's over 20 years old, but you wouldn't know by looking. It was quite a structure, and I just couldn't wait to see the inside. I was also pretty amazed that I was able to park right next to the building. I mean, there was a street between the building and the parking lot I was in. So I got out, paid at the kiosk, and when I turned around, I saw my friend Bill Saunders. He's the guy that was on the thumbnail that I met in Birmingham, the one with the cool Kirk It's Alive shirt. He was right there too. He was as excited as I was about managing to find parking so close. So I paid, he paid, and we headed on up to find our line. When we went around the building, we saw how cool this place was set up. It was right on the beginning of the Broadway Strip. That's one of the famous strips in Nashville, and it really reminded me a lot of Vegas, but with a country theme to it. There were restaurants, there were bars, I saw a tattoo shop, there were museums of a lot of legendary country performers. And looking down the road, it just seemed like a place that I wanted to be, but we had business over here. The arena was right here, and that started the strip, and it just went on down. And under any other circumstance, I would have been more than happy to head down that way. But like I said, we had business in the building. We went around, found the black ticket line, kind of took a better look around the place. It just seemed to be a really festive environment. There were people all over the place. It was pretty early in the day, and a lot of them were heading down the strip. They weren't coming up to the arena, but up around the arena, there were just people everywhere. It was pretty darn cold, but that didn't seem to stop anyone, so I got busy yapping, started working on some interviews. I ended up meeting one guy who worked security for the Tennessee Titans, and I believe he said he had done some security work in the building behind me as well. So I figured this was the perfect guy to ask about our parking location. I noticed on the receipt that the ticket expired at 10 o'clock, and I told him where we were, and he said, oh, no, you don't want to park there. My main concern was, are they going to tow me, or are they just going to leave me a $12 ticket? He said, no, they will absolutely tow you just a couple minutes after after that thing expires. That just didn't seem right to me. They didn't give you the option to pay through midnight or 1 o'clock or whatever. It just seemed kind of strange to me. There was a big church right next to the arena, and it turns out the church owned the lot, and it seemed ironic. That didn't seem like the brotherly way to conduct business. So after the interview, I went and found Bill, told him the situation. We kind of talked it over, and we realized we really didn't have much choice. So we headed back to the cars, and we headed out to find somewhere else to park. We kind of tried to stay together, but in that kind of traffic, it wasn't going to happen. We got broken off. I ended up finding a place that was about, 3 blocks up and 2 blocks over. It turned out to be quite a walk, but at least I got to walk down the entire length of the strip, so it wasn't so bad after all. The hardest part of the whole walk was having the self-discipline not to go on in and visit. I passed a lot of cool places. I finally made it back to the arena, and I got busy with the interviews again. I found a couple new people to give black ticket patches to. I got their introduction videos, and before we knew it, they were letting us in. As the show itself went, it was once again another extremely rowdy crowd. I mean, a wild crowd, a very wild crowd. So wild that several times after that show, my friend Joe Pasella, he was a black ticket holder who went to just about every show on the tour. He debated that show to be the wildest crowd on the entire tour. I'll give it to you, Joe. The intensity level in Nashville was insane. But I still stick to my personal opinion was that the crowd in Philadelphia was the wildest on the whole tour. They edged out the Nashville crowd by just a hair. Now that's just my opinion, but there's something that I've considered ever since. At that Nashville show, Joe was back by the soundboard, and I wasn't on the rail, but I was near it. And in Philadelphia, Joe was on the rail and I was back by the soundboard because I had hurt my back at the Charlotte show. I'm kind of convinced that the vantage point of being back by the soundboard, it allows you to see just about the entire crowd, everything except, obviously what's behind you. And you can turn around and look at them anytime you get ready. I just think that vantage point has everything to do with perceived intensity as a whole, the night as a whole. So anyway, Jim did his thing. He did it well. He got the crowd nice and fired up. I think the crowd was fired up before they arrived, though. Jim was just the icing on the cake, but he got them going. Before we knew it, the Angels were singing. Metallica was out, blowing out another sold-out crowd of over 16,000 people. The set list was pretty straightforward. There really wasn't a deep cut. It really reminded me of the set list in Las Vegas, where just song after song were songs that the whole place knew. This was one of the handful of shows on the tour where they played Harvester of Sorrow, and anytime they do that, you can always count on Sad But True. Throughout the whole tour, it was the 13th slot on the set list. So if you got Sad But True on the set list already, and then they play Harvester of Sorrow, you pretty much get a double dose of heavy. So I couldn't help it. I had to couple those two songs together for the video at the end. I'm going to say Harvester of Sorrow was the song of the night that night, but one couldn't make the argument that Blackened was back in as the first encore, followed by obviously Nothing Else Matters and Sandman. Then it was pick time. I was fortunate enough to get both picks I needed. I got a couple face picks. I also managed an extra Nashville pick for Michelle. I ran into my friend Brett Meelan. I told him I got the 2 picks I needed, but I told him I kind of needed one for Michelle, and he was happy to hook me up. Thank you for that, Brett. I don't ever remember squaring up with you, so I think I owe you a pick. After the show, I wasn't able to find the group photo, but I did run into a really large group of people I knew at the beginning of the strip. It looked like it could turn into a wild, crazy night, but that's not the way it happened. Everybody kind of dispersed really quickly, which was okay with me. We had the extra day break after this show, and it seemed like a whole lot of people planned on sticking around Nashville and exploring the town for an extra day. There couldn't have been a better place to do that, but I had my own little plan. I was going to head over to Waldoboro, South Carolina and visit my old friend Tammy Frierson before I headed to Raleigh. So when everything broke up, I went off and I found my car. I got a couple hours sleep in that big old bed before getting up early and hitting the road to South Carolina. Again, I'd like to thank Clint and Ethan for hosting one hell of a pre-party. I've heard a lot of talk about that party since, and it's always a great review. That's a legendary pre-party on this tour. Thanks a lot, guys. I'd also like to say thank you to the crowd in Nashville for bringing the level of intensity you brought to the show that night. You represented Music City well, and you made it a spectacular place to be for those of us not from there. Thank you. To everyone else, I'd like to say, as always, thanks for watching. If you like what we have going on here, we would appreciate it greatly if you consider subscribing to the channel. Give us a like, a dislike, whatever the case may be. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. If you should happen to find yourself in a video, please feel free to share it to social media and help us grow the project. Next stop, Raleigh, North Carolina. We'll see you there. Until then, rock on. Who are you and where are you from?
All right. My name is Brandon Von Teeter, also known as Brandon Teeter. I'm from Pennsylvania. I hail from in between Pittsburgh and Harrisburg.
My name is Ian Smith. I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Hi, my name's Tom. I'm from Philadelphia.
My name is Nick. I'm originally from Boston and live in Tennessee now.
Hey, my name is Michael. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee.
Jim Sipple from Europe, a little bit everywhere. But the last couple of years I live in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Travis Beaver. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky.
I'm kidding.
Pearl, we're from Atlanta.
How long have you been a Metallica fan?
Lots of spins. What the spins? Black Album. I was a little baby. Cassette player my mom used to put in. Gold.
Have you seen them before live?
Oh, hell yeah. Do I remember most of those times? No. But I seen them.
How many times have you seen them? Do you have a number? Do you count? Yeah, it's not a
I don't
competition.
count. Whenever. I don't count. But no, Metallica a handful of times.
How long have you been a Metallica fan?
Since I was 4 years old.
Alrighty. Have you seen them live before?
I have not. I wish I could.
Hey, you'll get there one day.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have one person in your life, one or two people, that you credit for turning you on to the band in the first place? How did you come about?
My dad was definitely the one that turned me on to Metallica. We used to listen to QFM 96 and 99.7 The Blitz in the car everywhere we went. And every time Metallica would come on, he'd turn it up. I remember every time Master of Puppets would come on, I'd be like, "Yeah, this is it. This is what I like."
Wow, you were a rockin' little four-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Since 2006.
2006.
Yeah.
Have you seen them live before?
Yes.
Do you have a number? Do you care? Do you keep track?
Tonight is 38.
Right on.
Yeah.
Do you have a single person in your life that you credit with turning you on to the band in the first place, or how did you come about being a Metallica fan?
For sure. When I was learning to play guitar, a friend of mine in high school, Dave, showed me the song Harvester of Sorrow, and that was it. I was a fan after that.
Okay.
Been a fan since 2001.
Have you seen Metallica before?
No, this is actually my first ever Metallica concert.
I've known them probably about since I was 14, so about 13 years actually, yeah.
Have you seen them live before?
I've not, no.
Are you going to see the show tonight?
Yes, I will.
A little bit excited about that?
I'm very excited. They're a legendary band. It's Metallica.
Yeah, exactly. How long have you been a Metallica fan?
They take me 40 years for these jockeys.
Wow.
So, since I'm born, I'm rock and roll. Older I get, deeper I go in blues because.
That's probably the nicest jacket I've seen yet.
See the cream somewhere right here.
Yes, yes.
Yardburn. We're by the same age.
Yes.
Yardburn with Eric Clapton made creams. Jimmy Led Zeppelin. 2005. This is Patch from London.
Wow.
It take me 38 hours. Go over there and come back.
Wow.
I have a good deal. Can't pass on.
That's awesome.
It's all about rock and roll.
Have you seen Metallica live before?
That's my third time.
Third time.
Since the first time I ever heard heavy guitar riffs coming out of my dad's speakers.
Alrighty.
I'd say Ride the Lightning.
Next question was going to be, who turned you on to the band in the first place?
My dad.
Good parents raise good kids.
I've seen them 5 times, 4 on this tour, and 2 summers ago, 2017, when they did the first tour on the stadium tour outside St. Louis.
How long have you been Metallica fans?
Long time.
Yeah, I just grew up, I don't know, forever.
Decades.
All right. Have you seen them live before?
Yeah. This will be my 6th or 7th.
Can you narrow it down to a favorite song?
What's that?
Can you narrow it down to one favorite song?
It's either gonna be Red Fan or Am I Evil cover. It's gotta be probably Am I Evil.
Okay, favorite album?
I'm gonna have to go with Bride of Lightning or the Black Album because that's whenever I was like, I was into this metal, Black Album, but Bride of Lightning. I mean, since I grew up, I listened. It's a tiebreaker.
Okay, how about favorite band member, past or present?
You know what everybody's gonna say? Everybody's gonna say Cliff Burke because they fucking jammed on the bass, which he was or the best bass player ever. But I'm gonna have to go Jason Newsted because I feel like he actually kind of led them in a semi-right way. But Cliff Burke and Dave, but I feel like Jason Newsted's really underrated.
Can you narrow it down to a favorite song?
Honestly, as cliche as it sounds, Master of Puppets.
That's,
Without a doubt, it's easily their best in my opinion.
okay, so favorite album?
Favorite album would probably be their debut.
Oh, did you say Load?
Huh?
Favorite album is what?
The debut.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Favorite band member, past or present?
Probably Kirk Hammett. Just the amount of skill that man has is just phenomenal. Just day in and day out, I've constantly been like, because I've been a guitarist my entire life, and it's just every time, this man puts so much effort, and you can see the drive and dedication he has to his craft, and that's what I've always looked up to is, just getting to that point,
Well,
trying to be.
Good luck with that. It's one hell of an idol to have. I don't know if I should call him idol, but inspiration to have.
There we go. Inspiration.
Can you narrow it down to a favorite song?
Harvest Hair Sorrow, no question.
Whoa. Favorite album?
I don't know. The Black Album. Yeah.
Okay, how about favorite band member, past or present?
Jason.
Wow, your answers are quick. That's good.
My first favorite song of theirs that I've ever heard was Enter Sandman.
Okay, that was my next question. So Enter Sandman is conclusively your favorite song.
Yes.
What's your favorite album?
Definitely the Black Album.
Okay, how about favorite band member, past or present?
Favorite band member, I'd have to say, is James.
Okay. Can you narrow it down to a favorite song?
I don't know too much. This would be the best. Everybody knows, but one is an amazing song.
Okay.
So probably is my favorite one.
Alrighty, how about favorite album?
Favorite album? Let's see. I mean, cliche, give it Justice for All, probably. Yeah.
Sure. Alrighty, that's a good answer. How about favorite band member, past or present?
Favorite band member? Lars.
Lars is cool.
Yeah.
Can you narrow it down to a favorite song?
It seems like you ask what's your favorite kid.
That's a good way to put it.
Oldest is a little better, It
Sure.
seems like Disturb. Disturb, it's in February. Our album is a little softer, but hey.
Right on. Well, how about favorite album? Same thing?
Well, same thing. It's Metallica was the same.
Final favorite question. Favorite band member, past or present?
It's hard, man. From Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Pink Floyd, it's like,
Okay,
I'm old school. Bad Company.
can you narrow it down to a favorite song?
It's probably Blackens or now being a guitar player, riffs are so in my head. I think for Master Puppets, I'd say, man. Just a solo.
How about favorite album?
And Justice for All.
Favorite band member, past or present?
This is gonna be Jason Newsted, actually.
Hey, we've had that a few times. That's cool. Can you narrow it down to a favorite song?
For me, it's Hero of the Day.
I don't know.
How about favorite album?
So that's where it gets. It's Injustice for All for me. All of them.
How about favorite band member, past or present?
Sure.
Kirk Hammett? That's your guy.
She's a Kirk gal.
He just flows.
Man, I love Jason. Like I was a huge Jason fan, but Kirk's captured my heart too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard that Jim Brewer is opening the show, the comedian?
I have not, but that makes me really excited because I love Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer, what do you think of that?
He's funny.
What did you think before? You've seen him. You have a black ticket. What did you think before just hearing the news that he was going to open up, and now what do you think now that you've seen what he's done?
Well, I'm not a fan of opening bands usually, so I was excited that it was a comedian and somebody that I kind of like, and yeah, he's pretty funny, so I'm glad that he's on the tour. I think it keeps the show moving faster than an opening band does to get to Metallica.
I don't really know who he is, but from what I've heard, he's really good.
Okay, so the idea of comedy before a music show, you're open-minded about it?
I'm open-minded about it, yeah.
I don't really know. I probably should know. Yeah, I don't know too much. It's awesome that he is opening up. I mean, it's a sold-out show. So
Sure.
good 2,000 people.
So you going into it with an open mind?
Yeah.
Comedy for metal, it's just a little different.
Yeah. Well, I put shows together too, so I know that's good to have a mix of,
Ready.
you don't have the same genre, you mix it up. So.
What do you think about Jim Brewer opening up the show?
Who else is? I didn't check because I've been here for 2 days in Nashville,
Yeah?
and I buy this ticket a long time ago.
Okay, now this is a comedian.
I stand up comedy. I know my daughter loved it.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with that?
No.
Some people want another band, is why I asked.
Well, something new.
There you go.
Something new. Here, let's try. I hate people that say, don't. Let me tell you something. Never been something like this. I've been on the ZZ Top one time when they opened somebody who tried with the country music. People don't like it. They switch. They play something. But hey, if you don't try, you don't know. But everything. Let me tell you something. My life. Screw politics, and I stay away from religion, sport, and music.
There you go.
Look, you open my cell phone, that's my daughter. Next one is the Titans.
There we go.
All about sport and music.
Well, right on. Okay, so Jim Brewer opening up. What did you think about when you first heard the news, and now that you've seen him, what do you think about it?
At first, I thought, wow, that's odd because when I first saw him, Volbeat opened up, and it was an opening band. You think, yeah, for a band like Metallica, you'd like a band to warm the crowd up. And then I was like, all right, well, this guy's actually a metalhead. He appreciates what we're doing. He's a fan like us. I thought, damn, it's going to be weird. But it ended up being a lot better than I thought, for a guy to go up there and sit there and stand in front of everybody, sometimes 20,000 people, and everyone's anxious and they're waiting. And you're standing there and there's no music, but you're playing things we want to hear. He's interacting with the crowd. He's doing good things. All age groups are welcome. He's doing a great job. Jim's doing a great job.
What do you think about Brewer opening up the show?
I kind of hate it. It's
Even after you've seen it?
well, the first time was a slog. This will be the third time I've seen Brewer. I like seeing bands. I like seeing music happen.
Hey, that's a fair answer. And Jim doesn't get his feelings hurt by that answer. He's a big fan himself.
I know he is, and that's the whole thing. Is like I get really jealous at Europe. They got Feller Tech. They're getting Ghost coming up, and so it was. It's not what I was hoping for, but it works. I think it works.
Are you in agreement there?
I am definitely.
Okay. We come from all walks of life as Metallica fans. What do you do for a living?
I am a server at Mueller's Ale House, so a sports bar.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty cool job to have.
Yeah.
I build running tracks for colleges.
I actually am security for the Nissan Stadium for the Titans.
We come from all walks of life as Metallica fans. What do you do for a living?
So I work for the Buzz as a promotions assistant. I work for a music venue in town on the basement. And I work for a Sprint store. So I have like 3 jobs. So,
Alrighty.
you're living there.
Very good.
I'm on bakery. I work for Cobra.
Okay.
So just a regular guy.
I serve tables and I bartend.
Alrighty.
Service industry.
We come from all walks of life as Metallica fans. What do you do for a living? A florist? Right on. We haven't had one of them yet.
And I'm a teacher.
A teacher?
Yeah.
What grade level?
I teach high school. I teach graphic design.
No, you got mad props coming your way these days. If the band members themselves should happen to see this, do you have a message for them?
Say that again.
If the band themselves happens to see this, do you have a message for them?
Rock on until you fucking die. Keep fucking touring. Don't worry about the money. Keep fucking donating. Just keep playing. Just fucking do what you do and love what you love.
Keep doing what y'all do. You're an inspiration to everyone out there, and I know that on at least this Nashville show that you guys are working with Feed America, so that's an amazing thing that y'all are doing. We really appreciate you for the music that you've put in our lives and the happy moments that we've had with y'all, and just keep on trucking.
Thanks for doing what you're doing.
If the band members themselves should happen to see this video, do you have a personal message for them?
rock on, Metallica. Keep rocking and living the life.
Final question, and I will leave you alone. If the band members themselves should happen to see this, do you have a message for them?
Just thank you.
If the band would happen to see this, do you have a message for them?
Just scoop roll.
You know, I always think it's fun when someone asks that. I do think that if they ever saw this, I'd want them to know that no matter what music's going on or what album they put out, they have a song for everybody. No matter what, there's always a song for somebody. Whether or not you're a fan of metal or not, they have a song that somebody likes, no matter what.
Final question, I'll leave you alone. If the band members themselves would happen to see this, do you have a message for them?
God, just thank you. Just thank you. Just thank you. 100 times thank you for everything.
Right on.
Yeah.
It's your chance to tell Kirk you love him. There you go.
And Kirk, if you decide you love her back, I love you, but I'll fight you.
Do you like your music heavy, Nashville? Metallica gives you heavy, baby.